Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and this one we're looking at a variant of something we looked at previously on the channel. If you remember my GK80 review that I did about a month ago, I think it was now, you may remember that this keyboard features the cherry red switches. Now in that video I asked if anyone wanted to look at the GK70 with the silver switches. Now unfortunately I couldn't get my hands on one of those, but what they did say is they'd send me out the silver variant of the GK80. So you guessed it, this one's going to be all about comparing the Cherry MX Red to the Cherry MX Silver. So this video is not going to cover all of the features that the GK80 did. I will link the full review that I did on the screen now if you want to go back and look at all the different features this keyboard has and the effects and so on and so forth, and you can check it out there. But this one's going to be primarily comparing the different switches, so it can give you a better idea if you're kind of contemplating which one to get, depending on what your scenario is. Now if you watched my full review, you may remember that I said certain lighting options weren't available, and that was because I had like the pre-release NDA software at the time. But that's all now been fixed as well, so I'm going to make a short little video showing you all the lighting effects that are now available. So if you want to see that video, stay tuned and that'll be up shortly as well. Now depending on if you're interested just in the switches, this may be a little bit of a irrelevant thing for the video, but something I wanted to touch on as somebody's bound to mention it. Now the bottom version is the silver switch, and there have actually been a few changes that are different to the one that I had, which was pre-NDA release. As you can see, the back plate's a lot darker as well. It's a more brushed kind of black rather than chrome, slightly bronze, which is a lot nicer. Also the MSI logo is a little bit brighter and white as well, which is nice, and the keycaps generally seem a little bit more black. So as you can see, there have been a few but good changes to the keyboard, but I thought I'd bring it up as there may be a few people that ask why it's different in the comments below, but it's just because I had a pre-launch version to the full retail product. So Cherry MX Reds are renowned as the most popular switch around the world. They have a very smooth operation with a linear feel and a minimal spring force, so it gives you great actuation to help you play fast and also type fast as well. To register your command on the keyboard, it requires a 2mm press, then it also has another 2mm to travel to total 4mm of movement in the actual switch. Now for me personally, when I use Reds, I find I bottom out the switch all of the way on each kind of press for each key. So if I want to press that L twice, I'll bottom that key out twice, which for some is what they find, but some others can actually press it kind of halfway and get used to that actuation point, so it becomes a little bit easier. And the Cherry Silver was introduced after the Reds as a kind of quicker version which has a lower actuation point, just 1.2mm, then you've got 2.2mm extra travel for a total of 3.4. So by taking the approach of getting used to that actuation point, it allows you to press the keys a lot faster and with much more fluid motion than using traditional Reds. Now I'll give you an idea of how you can use this in different scenarios later on in the video, but before we get to that, there's a few other little bits that I want to cover. So the silver switches are actually more of a grey in colour. I just wanted to let you know that in case you happen to go to a local hardware store and you look underneath to see what switches they're using. Even though they're called speed silver, they're actually more grey in colour, so something to bear in mind should you go and try something out IRL. So as these are both linear switches, if you looked at them directly head on, you can't see any visible difference in how they actuate. Now thanks to the Cherry website, I've managed to borrow this little GIF to show you exactly how they work underneath the switch. As you can see, very smooth motion between both, but one does press that little lever ever so slightly sooner, which means you can get that faster actuation and quicker response. Now for those that want to know how the GK80 sounds with those different switches, here's the bit for you. Now you do need to bear in mind with any keyboard that the plastic the keycaps use can make an effect on how the keyboard sounds, but something to give you a general idea of what you can expect if you buy the GK80. So all in all, which one do you go for? Now for me personally, I'm very lucky in fact I can have both of the keyboards and I don't have to go between a certain red keyboard and then a different make that does the silver, so it kind of keeps everything as close as it can be together to compare against. Now if you've watched any other reviews, you know that I say the cherry keys are always a very subjective topic, as some people like to have a bump and some don't and things like that. I'm going to try and do my best as a reviewer, try and put it into words and give you an idea of what I reckon you should go for. Now there is definitely a transition period going between the Reds to the speed switches, and you may not think that's something that would happen, but I certainly found that, especially learning to keep the actuation kind of high on the keys. As I was trying to move away from the fact that I bottom out the Reds all of the time, and then having a shorter actuation on the silvers meant if I learnt to type a little bit higher up on the keys and not bottom them out, I would get a faster response overall. As some people do say, you can get less fatigue on your fingers as well because the actuation is a lot higher, and that may be the case for certain people, but for me I didn't really find too much of a difference. Certainly starting out with the keys, I found that I was accidentally pressing ones to the left and right a lot easier, and obviously where they got a very short actuation, it did actually take into account that key as a normal press. So in that aspect, it did take a little bit of time to learn how to kind of avoid those keys. That was also another thing when I was typing as well, because obviously I do a lot of emails back and forward to get different things to review and social media and things like that as well. So if you're somebody that's going to be using this for typing, that's something you're definitely going to find as you type and practice with it. You're going to hit keys accidentally. It's going to get frustrating, but once you kind of push through it and persist, it will get a lot easier. If you're a touch typist as well, again, another great benefit of having the speeds with less actuation, you can type so much quicker on this. You could potentially double your word counts after solid practice on this. And then even if you do bottom out the switches, as it's got 3.4mm to travel over 4, you're still going to be able to press a lot more keys over time anyway, even if you're not a massive speed freak. For gaming though, for me the silver definitely won over the reds, just because I could respond to any threats a lot quicker. So being that I had a fast hand on the mouse, it did end up resulting in a better gameplay and KD overall. Now I'm not one of the PUBG or Fortnite players or anything like that to a kind of higher caliber than everyone else, but in games like Battlefield and things that I play from my other reviews, I definitely did see my gameplay to be a bit more fluent and a little bit more involved as well, without having to kind of worry where my fingers were. After that kind of initial transition period, you do get used to that actuation point, and it's a definite benefit in games over the traditional reds. So if you're looking to get one of these keyboards, I hope this is a little bit of a help towards which one you want to get. If you do have any more questions, please leave them below. I'm not a professional gamer, so of course that's kind of an aspect to take into account. I'm just a reviewer trying to help you guys out to pick which one is best for you. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll put the links for these in the description box below if you want to get one for yourself. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Thank you to MSI for sending them out for me to review. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.